moment, so we are doing our best to try and keep going, and it's not easy. 2 caveats: we don't discuss religion or politics on here. Also, forgot to add, play nice or you will be flicked off. Anyway, we were talking about the Forbin project. So anyway, there they are. Hatching the most daring plan. Crikey. There we go. Hatching the most daring plan known to mankind to get rid of the machine that thinks he's now God. And they try to do it with a giant nuclear warhead, because they think that that's the only thing that's going to be able to blow him up. And the machine knows this, and the machine actually kills all the scientists that are there trying to get this bomb to go off. Okay? There we are. Keep having to move you down because if I'm working here and I'm working on, I'm ironing anyway while I'm talking to you, and what they devise is something so cunning. Oh dear, I'm not really within shot, am I? Perhaps if the slider's right to the end, you'll be able to see me a little bit better. There we go, my darlings. Play nice, be kind, behave. Okay? I'm telling you a story. I'm telling you a story all about the Forbin project. And this machine is given such a problem that it takes all his effort and all his energy to try and figure it out. Okay? And in doing so, it distracts the machine away from what the scientists are doing. And the scientists, I think, if I remember rightly, they upload a virus into the machine, so the machine ends up fighting itself, and it eventually blows a circuit, and they manage to destroy the machine that way, if I remember correctly. It's a few years since I've seen the film, but I just think that that is a prime example of, you know, dealing with machines that we basically shouldn't be dealing with. Hello to everyone. I can't actually read your messages because I'm too far away from the screen, and I will burn my fingers off if I try to pick the phone up. So I can only assume that you're being kind, nice, lovely, well-behaved people, right? And you're here to talk about dystopian films and such. I will say hello, how are you doing? I hope you're okay. Please be kind and respectful to each other. Don't be rude, okay? I can't see your messages, so I'm assuming that you're being nice, kind, lovely people. And what's the next one we're going to talk about? Where the machines, the rise of the machines. Ian Foster, who wrote Howard's End, wrote a book called The Machine Stops. And it's only a short story, actually. And it's about the future of all of us, and we solely rely on the machine to take care of us. And it's quite a little tale is The Machine Stops. And day by day, the machine can't cope because it's not being maintained. It's not been taken care of over the years. And when the machine eventually does stop, because we're so reliant upon said machine, we die too, because we can't live without it. We've given up who we are as humans and trust the machine to take care of us. We forgot how to take care of ourselves, and so when the machine dies, we die. Apart from the brave souls that escape to the surface. But it is a very haunting little tale, and it is brilliantly done. The machine stops, and if you haven't read it, please do, because it's just utopia and dystopian at its finest. And who knew the woman that wrote Room with a View and Howard's End would write something as chilling as the machine stops. Moving on with our dystopian wonderland, Terminator. Who has seen Terminator? Prime example, Kyle Reese coming back to save Sarah Connor, and the Terminators on the hunt as well. That's a prime example of why it's probably not a good idea to give over responsibility to the machine, because in the third installment, doesn't the machine nuke us all? And John Connor, Sarah Connor's son, and that's how he ends up sending back the Terminator to try and stop it from happening in the first place, and it can't, because you can't mess with the timeline, can you? Or can you? Is time travel possible? If it is, and if you could, what would you go back in time to change and stop? But what knock-on effect do you think that would have if you went and did it? And I often think of the Ray Bradbury book, Sound of Thunder. Very short story about a group of adventure tourists who decide that it's a really good idea to go back in time to the dinosaurs and hunt and kill a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Now, all these adventure tourists have to do is keep on the path that has been laid out by the company that runs these adventure tours, and they have to step off the path, and all they have to do is go back and shoot and kill this Tyrannosaurus Rex, because they're trophy hunters. Unfortunately, in the story, one of the so-called brave hunters panics when he sees the Tyrannosaurus Rex, because it really is the sound of thunder when it roars. And it panics the hunter so much that he runs and he doesn't stay on the path. And he accidentally steps off the path. And we're back again. And he accidentally squashes a butterfly. Now, you wouldn't think that would have such a devastating effect on the future of mankind. However, it does, because it means that thousands of years later, a certain species doesn't evolve, because this butterfly that was needed to make that species evolve was... Whoops, sorry, go back again. Anyway, as I was saying, because he stood on this butterfly, it completely stopped an entire species from existing. And in the future, way in the future to where his timeline is, it completely changed it so much that the wrong person got voted in to being the president. And let's just say the future wasn't as rosy. So they devised another machine to go back in time again. No, it's a very convoluted plot. And they've devised another machine to go back in time to stop that gentleman from stepping on the butterfly and causing the massive problem in the timeline later on. And I just think it's such a good story. You really should read it, because that is dystopian, utopian, science fiction, and apocalyptic. I mean, what's not to like? And also Ray Bradbury wrote it, so you know you're getting a good one. And if you don't know who Ray Bradbury is, he is probably one of the most famous science fiction writers that this planet has ever seen. His stories are absolutely legendary. I love Ray Bradbury. I could read him forever. In fact, I have 2 novels from Ray that are both signed, and they're part of my rare book collection. My husband knows how much I love Ray Bradbury, and bless him, one Christmas, he, unbeknownst to me, he bought me 2 signed Ray Bradburys. Sorry, there's a long message there. I think I said somewhere right at the beginning of this live stream that we were not to discuss politics, we were not to discuss religion, and we were to be excellent to each other. Okay? And if you're not going to be nice, then please leave the channel, because we don't want you here. Right, behave. We're talking about Ray Bradbury. And we were talking about the Terminator as well, actually. And we were talking about time travel. So there you go. It was just saying that today, I just think you're not going to play nicely at all, are you, my dears? Which is a real shame, because you're spoiling it for everybody else, you know. What is so wrong in your lives that you have to come along and make everybody else's lives an absolute misery? That I do not understand. And I'm afraid the internet is a little bit up and down at the moment, because the poor gentleman, I did explain before we got cut off, there is an awful lot of cable that the cable people that came, Virgin, you know who you are, calling you out. When your cable people came to put cable in, you knocked out everything else, and you did such a bad job. Now nobody's got cable, and nobody's really got a stable internet connection. So there's the entire junction box that's outside. That too is also getting fixed. Yes, you did a real number. Never mind. These things happen, I guess. And it's what happens, I suppose, when you send people out to fix things, to put things in the first place, and they don't know what they're doing. Not that I can say that I know what I'm doing, because I wouldn't have known what to do, because I'm not a techie person. I'm old school. I like books. I like reading. I like thought experiments. I do. I like to think about scenarios, science fiction scenarios, dystopian scenarios, apocalyptic ones. Oh, aren't there some fantastic channels on YouTube at the moment that are doing apocalyptic stories? And a big one at the moment is talking about the Ice Age. Sign me up. I love talking about the Ice Age. I do. I find it absolutely fascinating. Anything that is an apocalyptic or utopian, dystopian future for that of mankind, isn't it just absolutely amazing? And these people are creating stories. And at night time, when I can't sleep, I like to listen to them, and they just while away the hours of the night. There we go. And we put them that side. Sorry, just concentrating there. Didn't want to knock the iron off. Didn't want to burn my hand. So yeah, I like to think and do thought experiments, and I'm loving at the moment some of the apocalyptic dystopian sort of like computer stories really that are being created by other fellow YouTubers, and they are fantastic. And in fact, I will probably do a thing later on, if I get a chance, and introduce you all to these new channels. And go show these guys some love, because believe me, their work, it's really good. I know a lot of it's like fan fiction, but they're well worth a listen to. I think one of them is a podcast. Yeah, I think that's one of them. Yeah, so anyway, I should write them all down, and then I'll read them out to you. That's probably better. And then you can go and check them out as well, because they really are very, very good. Say, when you've got a little bit of insomnia, like I do get, it's one of the part and parcels of going through the flipping menopause, is that your hormones are messed up anyway, and then you end up with like raging insomnia, which doesn't help, and then you obviously can't sleep. So, you know, thank goodness for these channels, because it's something to listen to in the wee hours of the morning when everyone else in the house is asleep and you don't want to get up and disturb anybody. Exactly. You know, us mummies, we're always thinking of our children and our husbands, you know, and generally not disturbing everybody in the house, because we're like that. Yeah, but we are good, us mums. I'm hoping I won't be much longer, and I'll be through this lot of ironing, which will be lovely. Yeah, I know. I spend a lot of time ironing, but I actually quite enjoy it, because it gives me time to listen to audiobooks and watch films and listen to plays and talk to you guys. And I just hope you're having a lovely time on the channel, and you're fully welcome. And hello to everyone. I'm afraid I can't actually see your names because I'm too far away, but hello, welcome. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. And if you want to, give us a follow and come along for the rest of the adventure. We have over 2,200 videos up on our channel, and they are either shorts about our little kitten Monty, or they are long form videos which we are doing book reviews. And hopefully you'll find something in those 2,200 videos which you will be able to find something to watch. And I hope you enjoy and have a good time. Because after all, we're only on this planet for such a short time. As Bill and Ted always said, be excellent to each other. Being excellent and being kind, that's what makes us be who we are, which is decent humans. So I can try and read some of you. What's the biggest bug? Oh, goodness me. I wouldn't say it was a bug, but it did give us a bit of a fright. You know geckos when you're abroad, you know, when you're out walking at night round where you're staying, and geckos like to come out at night, don't they? Well, I wasn't expecting the said gecko to come out, and it ran over my foot, and I screamed like Ned Flanders. I'm not joking. I hollered. I howled that night. I was so scared, and my husband came running out, and he thought I'd been murdered. And I'm screaming that it's on my foot. Get it off my foot. And he looked down, and there's this poor gecko, absolutely paralyzed with fear about me losing my absolute mind, screaming that there's a gecko on my foot. And the children were only very, very little at that time. We were camping. We were camping out in France. That's where we were staying on a French campsite, and it just so happened that the gecko was there as well. And I actually felt really bad, because I thought it was a giant spider at first, because I couldn't really tell because it was so dark. And then when my husband shone the torch on my foot, and there's this gecko, and he's like, okay, I'll come quietly. Leave me alone, don't step on me. And we managed to get him away from the tent, and, you know, he sort of shot off and never to be seen again. I think he just couldn't believe that, you know, number one, that we hadn't killed him, and number two, that I was busy screaming my head off. So yeah, I would say that's one of the scariest times. Yeah. I don't know, have you ever stood on a bug? Anyway, we were talking about dystopian novels. And I really, really love the Terminator premise. I love the fact that we've got time travel and these robotic killer machines, and we've got human beings coming back for the ultimate battle of who's going to win, and will Sarah Connor live, and is the Terminator going to get her? You know, everything's up for grabs in that. And it's such a good film. And did you know, and this, no word of a lie, there is a novelization of the Terminator, the British one, and guess who wrote it? Sean Hudson. He wrote the Terminator, the British version. At the time, the movie was really hot property. And everybody was excited to get a novelization of it. And it was just taking so long for it to come out of the United States of America. So a British, well, Sean Hudson's a British writer, and he was contacted by a producer that said, can you write a novelization to hit the shelves so we can make a bit of money regarding the Terminator? And he went, yeah, sure, I can write it. And dare I say, the British novelization of the Terminator is way better than the American one. I don't know why, it just works. It just works. It's so good. And Criminoli, another fellow YouTuber, actually has a copy of it. The lucky guy. He really, really is. To actually own a copy of that, because they're not that easy to come by. Because there are two novelizations of the Terminator, the American one and the British one. And James Cameron is not a fan of the British one. Probably because we did it better. But there you go. Yeah. I know. Oh, who's looking forward to Avatar this Christmas? As soon as the trailer dropped, youngest child jumped straight on the telephone and she's going, Mum, we're going to go see it out, Mum. And I'm like, yes, darling, yes, we're going to go and see Avatar, the third installment. Can't wait. I was just as bad when the trailer dropped for 28 years later. I was like, okay, all your mother children, we're going to go and see 28 years later. And they're like, huh? What's 28 years later? Like, have you been living under a rock, children? How can you not know that your mother loves zombies? Exactly. Oh, excuse me, be back in a moment. I've run out of water. I'll be back soon, everyone. I just need to change the tank. Sorry about that, everybody. I just had to go and swap the washing and the drying. Mother's work is never done. Always washing, always drying, always cooking, always cleaning, and watching zombie films in between. I remember watching 28 Days Later, and I'd literally just had my first child, and I was busy taking care of her, obviously, at home, and the film was, dare I say, on video. I know, rented from Blockbusters. So this is showing 23 years ago, like. Didn't have streaming back then, kids. We had Blockbuster videos. And we rented it, and I was like, this is the most amazing zombie infection movie that I have seen in some time, and it's British. You know, Danny Boyle and Alex Garland, we salute you. You're geniuses, next level geniuses. Cannot wait now to go and see 28 Days Later. And when I saw that trailer, I shared it with both of my daughters, because obviously we're all zombie nuts in this house, and why not? And they were like, oh, Mum, they're like, this is really good. This is absolutely brilliant, Mum. When are we going to go see this then? I said, I believe it drops the cinema for us mere unworthy mortals in June, just before the youngest is due back for summer from university. So I've said that when she gets home, I'll get tickets. Mum's treat. I know, I spoil my girls, I really do. And we're going to the movies, and I'll take them to Showcase. I'll give them a bit of a treat. I'll take them to Showcase, and we'll watch 28 Years Later. I mean, what a fantastic trailer. Now, I've got a couple of things that I noticed in the trailer, and one of them is the fact that when the zombies are starting to do the attacking, the mum, this would be me, this would, stay in that front room, don't come out for anything, and watch the Teletubbies. Now, there's a couple of, when you see this coincidence, right, you're going to be like, oh yeah, course, right, yeah, course. Teletubbyland is a green island, right? Dipsy, Tinky Winky, Lala and Po, and Nunu, right? Nunu's a vacuum cleaner that goes around cleaning up after the Teletubbies, right? Now, in the movie, 28 Years Later, it's set on the island of Lindisfarne, which is only accessible at low tide, because when the tide comes in, the road that's in and out of Lindisfarne gets covered with the sea. It's a green hill. The Teletubbies are involved. Yeah. What are the chances that Dipsy, Tinky Winky, Lala and Po and Nunu are all battle-hardened zombie fighters, yeah? And you just thought you were watching Teletubbies, right? No. They all live on the island of Lindisfarne, Green Hill, Teletubbyland, Green Hill, Lindisfarne. Somebody has got to go onto GPT or GTP or whatever it is, and design a zombie fight in battle-hardened Nunu, Tinky Winky, Lala and Po, and Dipsy. Is it Dipsy Whipsy? I can't remember. It's so long since I've seen the Teletubbies. Anyway, somebody has got to create. I would pay good money to see that. I really would. But I am absolutely stoked to go and see 28 Years Later, which is only really 23 years later, because my daughter's 23 and she was born when the movie 28 Days Later came out. I'm just saying there's a slight discrepancy there, but you know, I have waited a long time for this zombie flick to arrive, and boy oh boy are we gonna have a good time. What are my snacks going to be going into this to watch this film? Sweet and salty popcorn and a raspberry blue slush puppy. Yeah. And my chocolate of choice is going to be miniature Reese's. Yeah, Reese's Pieces or miniature Reese's peanut butter cups. And if I can't get those, then it's going to have to be Jelly Babies. And if I can't get Jelly Babies, then I think I'm probably going to have Rebels. There we go. Much better. Much better indeed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left to do after this. Whoop, whoop, we're on a winner. Oh, hang on. Sorry, I'm just going to have to go. It's my husband.